Rev up your engines!
Well, Iowa and Nebraska are now suing the EPA because they want to force the government to make them sell 15% ethanol gasoline year-round. For years, we've had 10% ethanol. You look at the gas pumps, it'll say may contain 10% ethanol, and you buy regular gasoline. But, of course, that means it does contain, not may, it does, right? Well, then in the winter, they'd let them use 15%, but it pollutes more in the summer. But now, the Iowa and Nebraska farmers, right, they make a lot of corn there, grow a lot of corn, are suing the EPA to force them to use the 15% year-round. Well, does it have anything to do with what's good and what's bad? No. Follow the money, people, follow the money. Because in Iowa and Nebraska, they grow the corn. They want to sell lots of corn so they can make ethanol out of it. And if they go from 10% to 15%, that bumps their profit up 50%. They can sell 50% more corn to make ethanol. Like I've said many times, it's an absurd thing because making ethanol and burning it is like a 25% net loss. 25% more energy into making the ethanol, growing it, harvesting it, turning the corn into alcohol, then moving it around, right? Then when you finally burn it in the gasoline, you're actually losing 25% energy because it costs so much energy to create the ethanol in the first place. But the farmers don't give a crap about that. All they know is they're selling those bushels of corn. They want to keep selling more and more. So let's see if they win or not when they're suing the EPA to force them to put 15% ethanol in. Another thing to keep your eye on. Follow the money, follow the corn, follow the ethanol. See if they're going to have 15% year-round instead of just 10 in the summer and 15 in the winter. Colorado's a strange state. They're now proposing $26,500 in rebates if you buy an electric vehicle, depending on what vehicle you trade in, like a gas hog. In other words, the taxpayers are fronting money to the rich people for buying electric cars. Now, let me tell you, I'm always saying this thing about electric cars, but I went to visit this historical mansion in Nashville, right? And it's in, guess what? The rich part of Nashville. It's around Franklin, where the rich people always have lived and continue to live, right? So we're coming out of the mansion in the tour, and I'm at a stop sign. And what do I see? I've never seen this before. While I'm waiting for cars to go by on this residential area where all the rich homes are, I saw one, no, two, no, three Teslas in a row came by. Different places, so it wasn't like it was a family with three. One came one way, one came the other, and one came up. Three Teslas in a row. I have never seen that. Well, it's the ultra-rich part of Nashville. So I guess Colorado wants to encourage rich people to be buying electric cars at taxpayers' expense. Now, the problem with Colorado, as far as the Colorado legislatures, is they only have 86,000 electric cars registered in the state of Colorado. Spit in the bucket. Right? They want more. So they're going to give people more rebates, right? If people have to be getting these giant rebates to force them to buy these cars, that tells you the cars aren't working out right. Nobody gives away money for nothing. They're trying to get these stupid things out there. And Colorado's a big state. I've been through there numerous times, right? People drive long distances. Electric cars don't fit in with long distances. That's just how electric cars are. Here we go again. The government paying money to people to buy electric cars. Something's wrong with this picture. $26,500 in incentives. That's a lot of money, right? Car manufacturers getting their full price. The government's giving it to them. Let's see, government giving car manufacturers money for you to buy a car. No, something tells me that doesn't work out well in a supposedly capitalistic society. You're going against that. If people make a good product, people buy them. If people make a bad product, people don't buy them. But in this case, they might be buying them because they can get them a lot cheaper. Reese says, I got a 2004 Chevrolet Express. It's got 180,000 miles of cranks and starts, but then it stalls. Sits for 5 minutes, cranks and stalls. I get P0335 crank position sensor, P0622 generator F terminal circuit, and U1041 loss of electronic brake control module communication. How can I fix this? Well, you have electronic problems, obviously. Unfortunately, the electronics of your car are all tied in together. The entire car is negative electricity, all the metal parts, right? Everything has to be grounded, then power goes to the wires. Something as dumb as if you have a problem in your electronic brake control module, it will short the whole system out and then do exactly what it's doing. But unfortunately, any other problem, if your crank sensor's going bad, it can trip that, and it can make the other systems go out. So you're going to have to go through the entire electric system of that crappy Chevy van. The Chevy Express is one of the worst vans ever made. They're rolling piles of crap, and as they age, and that's an '04, right? 180,000 miles. You're going to have to go through the whole wiring. Now, if you're lucky, get yourself a wiring diagram that has all the ground circuits. Check all the ground circuits. GMs often have bad grounding circuits. They don't ground right. You just take off the bolts. You see, oh, it's rusted now. Shine it with sandpaper, make it nice and clean and shiny, bolt it back on. That could fix your problem. But there's all kinds of grounds. There's scores of them. You're going to have to check every single one and pray it's one of those, not a computer failure or an electronic brake control module failure, when they can all do the same thing. Devil Dog says, I got an '06 Scion TC with 224,000 miles. Seems to burn a lot of oil. Any idea? Yeah, add oil so the engine doesn't blow up, right? That is the horrible four-cylinder inline engine that Toyota used in some of those Scions and a whole bunch of Camrys, and they burn oil because Toyota made the piston rings wrong. Now, Toyota had to fix a bunch of them free. You can try, but they're just going to tell you it's too old now. They don't care, right? I've got a customer, he's been through 3 engines because when the engines go, he puts in a used junkyard engine. Well, it's the same engine and it's worn too. And then those blow up. Now he's on his 3rd engine. And it's going to blow because it burns oil too, because it came from a junkyard. It's a bad design. If you wanted to fix it right, you would have to rebuild the engine. And I doubt if you're going to spend that money on an '06 Scion that's got 224,000 miles. As it stands now, add oil. My grandson's '07 Camry has the same engine. He drives from New Jersey, Tennessee and back. It still runs. He just adds oil as it burns. That's basically the only thing you can do without spending a fortune. Grace says, I want to know about tire rating. I got a rear-wheel drive Lexus 350, 2016. I found a great deal on some tires, but they've only got 2, so they're going to put it in the rear. And they have slightly different size front ones. Can I mix the two? Well, yes, you can, because you have a rear-wheel drive car. Because if it was all-wheel drive, you have to have the same exact tires, because the computers have to think all the tires are the same size. It will send the right power to each wheel. It gets feedback from the tires, and if one different sizes than the others, it will screw up your transfer case. It'll screw up all kinds of stuff with the all-wheel drive system, right? That's why I warn people. If you're going to buy an all-wheel drive car, realize this. Let's say you got some worn tires. One of them blows, gets a nail, piece of glass. You got to replace that tire. You can't replace that tire. You got to buy all 4 brand new ones at the same time. If you don't need all-wheel drive, don't waste your money on it. It's a much more expensive thing to drive down the road. And let's say you say, oh, screw it. I'll just buy 1 new tire and leave the 3 old ones. Then when it destroys your all-wheel drive system and you find it's going to cost you $4 or $5 grand to fix it, you'll wish you had bought 4 brand new tires instead of just 1. But in this case, it's only rear-wheel drive. As long as the rear-wheel drive tires have the same size tires on them, tires in the front have the same size tires in the front, as long as each axle has same tire here, same tire in the front, and then in the back, they have the same tire matching each other. They could be slightly different size front to back, and it's not going to hurt anything. Well, now they're going to be putting wind turbines off the coast of New Jersey, and people in New Jersey are protesting it because, of course, the people that live on the shore don't like it. Now, they're doing it where I've got places in Rhode Island. It's 35 miles offshore because you can't put them where the rich people are looking at the ocean. And if you're at sea level and you're looking out, it just turns out that you really can only see about 35 miles these towers away. You can see 35 miles because they're tall, right? But that's why they put them out 35 miles. It's not that it's more efficient 35 miles. It costs them more to build them out. They got to run 35 miles of cable and all that stuff, right? But it's because they look bad. Well, I guess they figured, well, it's Jersey. What the heck? People in Jersey, what are they going to care what's offshore? Well, guess what? They do care. Communities on the shore, they don't want these things. You know, they don't want them built out there. And they also don't want the infrastructure coming in because then they got to dig up the roads, put the giant cables in. There's vibration noise those things make. So even the people in Jersey are kind of getting peeved about it. And even further, they're planning on building wind turbines in the New York City harbor. Now, of course, that's New York City. It's big. They got all kinds of stuff there. Do you really think that the people living in New York City are going to be moaning, the rich people with the view of the East River and the water? They have big windmills in the harbor woof, woof, woofing along, you know? It'll be interesting to see if they actually do it in New York City harbor. Will they do it in New York City? Let's see if they actually do. It'll be an interesting thing. Of course, in that case, they wouldn't have to worry about 35 miles because it's the New York harbor. They don't have to build cables 35 miles. But on the other hand, there's a lot of rich people who live there. Let's see what actually happens. Will they actually build them? Because even in Rhode Island, they're doing Electric Revolution 1, which is like 65 between Block Island and Martha's Vineyard, where the rich people live. But they were going to have phase 2, and the Rhode Island legislature already canceled it because they said there's too much ifs. We don't know. They seem to break too much. We don't know if it's economically feasible. So a lot of these things are plans that maybe they'll never come to fruition. In this case, people in even Jersey are complaining about it. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.